people want to come together, do a little bit of a talk. Let everyone take a seat if they want. AV people, and we don't use microphones a lot for some of us, so always remembering where to put it and what level to set it. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We'll have people coming in throughout the day. A lot of people, maybe they can only come for the afternoon, maybe they can only come for part of the morning, but we'll have people kind of filtering in throughout the day. We've got different things throughout the day. I'm not sure how many people were able to see the agenda that was posted online. So I'll do a little bit of a brief talk, kind of high level of Creighton and a kind of our AV position. After that, we'll do a little bit of a campus tour in this building and our law building, which is just across the walkway over there. In the afternoon, we'll do part of our Werner building, which is our newest sort of capital classroom project that we have, which actually was being stood up at the same time that I started here, which was not quite 3 years ago. So that's our newest of the full-on capital buildings that were stood up for classrooms. You'll notice we do have a number of other construction projects going on around, like our sophomore dorm is right over by here that's just being finished up, a lot of our sports places, so quite a bit of construction going on here, and as anyone that has driven around Omaha much notices that there's a lot going on downtown for construction as well, so apologies for that, but at least we're close to the airport. So, a lot of amazing sponsors here today. We have a good number of sponsors here. Looks like everyone's pretty much set up at this point. This sort of stuff obviously doesn't happen without our sponsors. HETMA is a free group for people to join, and when we come to these events, this is a no-cost event to the schools that host it. So this is all made possible by the funding that comes in from the sponsors that we have with HETMA, the Higher Education Technology Managers Alliance, and what our sponsors do for us and what they come and bring to this. So definitely make sure you check out everyone here. There is a diversity of folks here doing a diversity of things, so a lot of good things to learn and see. So welcome to Creighton University. So like I said, this is a bit of a high-level look at Creighton, and then we'll go into the classrooms and I can show a little bit more specifics. Standard is an interesting word, obviously, anywhere, and so our standard has shifted as the buildings have shifted, and what we have here will be different than what we have over in Law, will be different from what we have over in Werner, so a variety of kind of classroom standards that we will show you as we go through. So, a little bit about me. I just recently became the interim manager for the Learning Environments team here at Creighton. Our team oversees the classrooms from the perspective of like your audio video, your lectern PC. We do not get into like the computers at a computer lab, but we'll cover a lot of the other technology within the classroom. We do the digital signage, at least the hardware part of it. A space like this, we do have an events team that kind of does the entry-level support of these sorts of rooms. And some of the sports stuff we don't do, but a lot of the rest of campus is kind of under our purview for any of the audio-video stuff. The Learning Environments team that we have here, we are one down from full right now, but we do have, there's 4 underneath me on the team that work here for the Learning Environments team, and that's all FTE. We don't actually have any student workers for our Learning Environments team, so that's something that I would like to explore at some point, but we're not there quite yet. We do actually we're working on a little bit of a restructuring within our university, our IT and learning environments in general. We did just recently hire on a new director that will be taking over the Learning Environments team. They start on August 3rd. It's a name that many people in this room actually know. Mr. Chris Dechter will be starting as our new director for the Learning Environments team here. That may or may not be a surprise to some. I think the word has passed a little bit beyond. But that will be an exciting thing. He's coming from the University of Wyoming. A lot of people know him in this industry. So I also do side work with HETMA. Up until July 1, I was the advisory board chair, and I have, within the last few months, taken on as the managing editor for Higher Ed AV Media, which is the media arm for HETMA. With that, I've got a number of monthly columns that I do. Campus Spotlight, Tech Manager Spotlight, Prism Spotlight, and Empowered by Design. Prism is our scholarship program in conjunction with our wonderful partners at Avixa, where every year we have 10 people primarily targeted towards underrepresented groups that we pay for them to get trained for CTS, a major credential for anyone in AV, and to attend InfoComm, which is like the Super Bowl in the United States of AV conferences every year. Jen Weaver from Avixa did not pay me to say that. But, so that's a little bit about what we do. The Higher Ed Technology Managers Alliance, HETMA, is a group that is now spread a bit beyond the United States, a free group for anyone, primarily targeted towards people in AV, but we do get a little bit into esports and instructional design and stuff like that as well. So hetma.org is the website. Anyone's free to join. There's a bustling community there of people that are talking on the boards, and then we have a lot of free events throughout the year as well. So what I'm here to talk about, a little bit of a snapshot of Creighton, sort of about our approaches to things. We have tended towards a little bit of a forward-thinking approach, which can be a double-edged sword, as a lot of people know. Remote accessibility, talking about converged versus isolated rooms, and sort of some of our ongoing efforts here at Creighton. So, about Creighton. Our campus. We have 3 official locations at this point. We have our main campus here in Omaha, which you all on. It's a number of buildings here. We have a single building down in Phoenix. It's a 7-floor building, largely focused more on the medical side of things. A beautiful building, if you ever get a chance to go down there to Phoenix and see it. And then we do now have a location with a full AV standard classroom in the Dominican Republic. I've been down there a couple times in the last couple months getting that set up, and it's got a lot of the same technology that you find in some of our other classrooms, which down the Dominican where that is at, that is a rarity. It's not like much else down in the location that it is in, so it's very cool. We recently audited here on campus to try and get an account of the number of spaces we have, because we honestly did not know. We did not have a great audit of that until recently. And with the new director coming in, we wanted to have an idea of what to tell them we had. So around 553 supported spaces across our campuses, about 250 classrooms. I won't read it all off, it's up there. But that's kind of what we're looking at when we talk about Creighton and our supported spaces. We have about 10,000 students. That's about even split between grad students and undergrad students. And that's across all of our campuses, that 10,000 number. So what do I mean by Creighton tends to be forward thinking? We've been an early adopter about a number of things. So we stood up SDA through Cisco in our dental building. When we did that, 7 years ago, give or take, we were one of the first in the country that were doing it. We actually had to have Cisco here on site helping us stand it up. We had a lot of very high-ranking people here on campus to try and make that happen. We have expanded SDA now campus-wide, and we're working on finalizing SDA, software-defined access, for our networking through our Wi-Fi as well. We started with just the hardwired stuff. We are leaning pretty heavily into AV over IP. So we have a variety of buildings where we have AV over IP for video. We are highly standardized on Dante for audio. And it's just, that's kind of been where we've been going everywhere. The ability to distribute content across rooms, across wherever you want, is a big boon, and the opportunities it opens beyond just kind of HD-based T and things like that are very helpful. We are working on convergence as a standard. So we try to lean away from classrooms being an island. We want things to ideally be all on the main CU network, so that if I'm sitting in my office, I can go and remote into any room. I can see the status of the DSP. I can see the status of my controller. I can see the status of all the things in the room, and ideally fix it without having to have someone in that room. We still send someone to the room to try and check in and make sure that things are going all right, but ideally we can have something fixed within seconds instead of waiting to get to the room and minutes and having a classroom down that much extra time. I can fix a Dante tie. I can go in and reboot a controller, whatever I need to do. We are working on with Cisco on some of our conference rooms where we're working on getting AI features in there as far as recognizing who's in the room for like the AI note taking, so that it can actually recognize who's the one talking, recognizing the occupancy, and getting ideas about actual room utilization. So fairly early with some of that, and getting lecture capture as a standard. It's hit or miss on how much it's used. That's kind of the case anywhere. Some schools are more, some schools are less, but at least having that capability to have lecture capture anywhere on campus is something that we have been working towards. Right now, this very event is being recorded for lecture capture purposes, and I'll have to see if I end up doing something with it or not. Remote accessibility, and this one is a huge one for us. Panes of glass. We have no single pane of glass, maybe someday, not quite there yet. Up here I've got an example picture of our GVE, just for one of our rooms as an example over in Werner. So every morning we're able to go in, we're able to get an alert for any of our Extron controllers. If something goes offline, we're going to hear about it. If we want to just go in and kind of do a general pulse of things, we can go in, we can see what's online, what's offline, in pretty good detail. We can check the usage of things to see how much are they actually using a DVD player in a room. Well, if no one's ever using it, then maybe we have a better chance to pull it out of the room. Other things that we have, QSys Reflect, QSys in the back there as well. We are going in and we're able to see all of our DSPs that are connected to QSys Reflect, get notices if they're offline, see if maybe there's some issues going on with any of our DSPs. Extron Nav, we can log in, we can see any of our Nav endpoints. This building is a big distribution of Nav to see, okay, are any of our encoders down, any decoders down, are things having HDCP issues? DDM, like I said, we're still kind of working on getting DDM finally established across campus, so that'd be Dante Domain Manager. We've got most of our buildings in there, but as far as if we're actually using it for the control of the clocking and things like that, that's a little bit more hit or miss. But again, we get alerts when things are not communicating, when the ties are dropped. And Panopto. So with Panopto, I can go in, I like to make a practice of in the morning, go in and check my classrooms that tend to have more likely use of lecture capture, see if all the feeds are up. Do I have my content feed up? Do I have my camera feed up? Are the audio levels hitting? It's a good way to just be able to remotely go in and see my single pane of glass, well, not single pane of glass, my panes of glass to see what all is doing what it's supposed to do. So, converged versus isolated. This has been a discussion here, and we've only more recently settled on a standard on this one. So, when we talk about the difference there, we have some rooms where maybe only the controller and the DSP are talking out to our main network, and then all of our Dante ties are maybe happening on a local switch inside of the room, so you have to be in the room to actually see those ties. You have to actually be there disrupting a class to see what's going on in them. That's part of my concern about being isolated versus converged. Converged, everything is on the main network. Now, it can be isolated off in separate VLANs, but everything is hitting the main CU network, which has had its own challenges. When we stood up our Werner building that I mentioned, that was enough multicast on our main CU network that suddenly mics started dropping across the entire campus. That was a problem. And so we've had to have a number of meetings to discuss the proper way to do a converged network, and we're still working on it. We don't have it totally figured out. It is an ongoing process that we keep improving, but it's definitely not perfect. That's one of those big times that a lot of people can start to say, well, are we getting more benefit than we are cost from being converged, and is it time to roll back to being everything as an island? And so a couple years ago, when we did a refresh, we started putting things back on islands. Some of the buildings that have been done with only in the last 2 years and a like-for-like refresh, we started focusing more on islands again. Since then, we've started going back to more converged, and my hope is that we'll continue going that way. That will be up to people above me and Mr. Dector, but hopefully that's the direction that we can keep going. You can kind of see some pros and cons of each of the approaches up there from our perspective. So, what are some of the things that we're working on at this point? Pending projects. Like I said, finalizing DDM is a huge one. We have DDM out there. We're still working on getting all of the devices discovered, and we're still working on getting everything actually in it for some of that control of the clock leaders and some of the size of our domains for what's going to be able to talk to where, what's going to be more isolated from other spaces, just ways of getting things broke down. There's a little picture of DDM over there and some of the spaces that we have just over in our Werner building, again, as an example, because there's a lot of endpoints over there. Werner is a very technologically connected building. More metrics. We have GVE. We're not using it for a lot of things. We have QSys Reflect. We're not using it for a lot of the reporting that we could be doing. We have a lot of tools on board that, with the busyness of what happens with life, those always become a tomorrow project. Trying to be able to get into those things and actually take the time to say, what can we pull from this to try and get benefit from it? Huge focus for ours. Internalizing some integration. We lean heavily on external partners for a lot of our integration right now. Pretty much anything that's over a single classroom, sometimes even a single classroom, we're going to tap into an external integrator to come in and help us install those things. We love our external integrators. We love all of our partners, but the more that we can have hands-on on maybe the design, maybe on parts of the integration, maybe on parts of the programming, the more we know things inside and out. The more we can support them, the more that we can empower our team to do things instead of maybe having to wait for some things. We will never move away from having integrators here on campus, particularly for large capital projects. We just do not have the bandwidth for that, as basically almost no school does. But seeing what more we can help bring in. Focusing on standards, that's a huge one. What we have in this building versus what we have in law versus what we have on Epley or any number of other buildings, there's a very big shift in what we have in any of those spaces. It's a problem. An instructor that's teaching here could not intuitively go over to some of our other buildings and just jump into the room and use the same touch panel, use the same button panel even. There's a little bit of a learning curve with that. And so we want to get at least the same UI, the same UX for our users so that they could go into any room and be comfortable using it. And then we're working on our support structure as well, seeing what's the best way so that we have maybe some higher tiered people available to respond to things as needed, but that we're not sending out people that aren't sure of what they're going to be supporting when they walk into a room, so that we're minimizing the downtime in a room, but also we're maximizing the use of the people that might have a little bit higher technical knowledge on some of our things. It's the same thing across any campus. So I did a write-up for Campus Spotlight for Higher Ed AV Media. That QR code will take you to the Campus Spotlight article that I wrote up on Creighton. So you can get some additional details about what we've got here on campus. Obviously, we'll have the tours. That is just a little something I typed up back in January or so. But that can give you some more background information as well about Creighton. Those are a couple different email addresses for me. Obviously, my Creighton email address. The content at Higher Ed AV is my managing editor for Higher Ed AV Media email address. Is anyone still trying to scan the QR code? And I can obviously provide that for you afterwards as well if you like. So that's a little bit of a higher overview of Creighton University. Quick, because I tend to talk quick when I'm on stage. Thank you very much. So I can't remember what time we have tours start scheduling. I think that's coming up pretty soon here. So if people want whatever they're going to take for the tours, and we'll get people collected probably outside that door shortly to start here in Harper, and then we'll do